Hi guys, welcome to Tisha Talks. Team dynamics you already have going. Moving forward towards our passion and lining it up with purpose. Hi guys, welcome to Tisha Talks. So today we're going to be talking about conflict resolution. You know, a lot of times people shy away from conflict. They think it's a bad thing. And conflict in and of itself is not a bad thing. It's the way that conflict is managed or handled that determines the successfulness of it. You know, a lot of things are handled through conflict that produce innovation. If you have one idea and I have another idea and we don't agree, but we know how to come together and talk to each other about it, a whole nother idea can possibly evolve. So conflict in and of itself is not a bad thing. Today I'm going to give you tips on how to actually have a conversation when you're in a conflict situation. But first I want to talk about some of the mindsets that you should have going into this dialogue. You want to determine what your desired outcome is. In this situation, is preserving the relationship the most important thing for you? You got to determine that too, because that's going to determine how you handle the conversation, how you handle the results of the conversation. The other thing is, you know, maybe there is no compromise because there's an ethical issue, like stealing. Like stealing is wrong, so we may have a conflict about it, and I'm going to discuss it with you, but there isn't a way that we can actually resolve it. This is just a dialogue conversation advising you of something different. And the other mindset that I think is really important to have is that you're wanting to pursue peace. Even in a situation where you can't actually compromise on it, you can still do it in a peaceful way. You can still do it in a respectful way. You want to have a mindset of pursuing peace, because when you have that type of mindset, you're going in with the intention of getting greater understanding. Yes, you want to express how you feel, but you also want to get an understanding of how the other person feels. And when you come across that way, people are more receptive to hearing what you have to say. At the end of the day, we want the other person to be receptive to what it is that we're saying, because we want them to implement our idea or our suggestion. And so if they're not receptive, they're not going to hear anything that we've said. So let's talk about the technique that you would actually want to use. Now, this technique I learned probably like 4 or 5 years ago when I was a part of another consulting group that came and did a workshop at this venue I was at. And their technique is called SBI. It's when you discuss the situation first, and then you discuss the behavior, and then you discuss the impact that that behavior has had on you. So you're talking about what happened. You're talking about what the situation was. And then you're talking about how that person responded to that situation. And then you're talking about how that action, how it impacted you. And then you give the other person the opportunity to do the same thing. Talk about the situation, talk about their behavior or why they did that, or possibly your behavior and how that was impactful to them. And so now we're having a dialogue where we're kind of understanding why each other did what they did. And hopefully you can walk away with a resolution. Even if the resolution is, you know what, maybe I don't want to behave that way. Maybe I don't want to do that same thing in this particular situation because I know it impacts that person in that kind of way. Now, granted, every conflict is not always going to be resolved, but it's always great for the other person to have a clearer understanding of how you were impacted by their decision. And so, guys, I think it's really important to practice this. Unresolved conflict leaves scars that manifest themselves in the future. And believe me, that when they manifest themselves in the future, it's often worse than what they were when they first happened. So guys, I hope that this is helpful to you. I hope that you were able to take away something from this. And as always, Remember, when you align your passion with your purpose, great things happen. Tisha Talks.